Phase 10 is a card game for 2 to 6 people. The goal is to form the so-called 10 phases by placing certain combinations. One player is designated as the dealer, who first sorts out the 4 phase reference cards from the deck and places them in the middle of the table, clearly visible to everyone. He then shuffles the cards very well and deals 10 of them to each player. The remaining cards are placed face down in the middle of the table as a draw pile. If desired, each player can of course take their own phase reference card. The top card of the draw pile is revealed and forms the discard pile. The player to the left of the dealer starts and then the game continues in clockwise order. A player's gameplay consists of 4 steps. Step 1, draw a card. The player whose turn it is either draws the top card from the draw pile or the top card from the discard pile. Step 2, discard cards from a phase. If possible, the player can form a phase from his hand cards. There are 10 different ones in total. During the first round, all players attempt to complete Phase 1. This consists of 2 triplets. 3 of a kind are 3 cards with the same number, the suit doesn't matter. Phase 2 consists of 3 of a kind and 4 of a kind. A sequence consists of cards in numerical order, here in the example a sequence of 4 with cards of the value 2, 3, 4 and 5. The colors do not matter here either. Phase 3 is a 4 of a kind and a 4 of a kind sequence. Phase 4 consists of a sequence of 7s, i.e. 7 cards with increasing numerical values. Phase 5 is a series of 8. Phase 6 is a series of 9. Phase 7 consists of 2 quadruplets. Phase 8 consists of 7 cards of one color, although the numbers don't matter here. Phase 9 consists of a quintuplet and a twin, and Phase 10 consists of a 5 of a kind and a 3 of a kind. However, there are still a few rules to follow here. Phases must always be formed in order from 1 to 10, with each player only being allowed to form 1 phase per round. You also have to have the entire phase in your hand before you can discard it. Once this has been filed, it is considered completed. And if a player does not manage to form a phase before the round ends, he must try to form the same phase again in the next round of the game. Step 3, create. After a player has formed his phase, he must try to get rid of all of his hand cards. You get rid of the remaining cards by laying them out. As soon as a player has completed his phase, he can add 1 or more of his hand cards directly to any phase that has already been discarded. So not just your own but also those of your fellow players. However, the cards must match the phase created exactly, and here too there are some rules to follow. Before a player can create his hand of cards, he must have discarded his own phase. Only the player whose turn it is allowed to invest. However, as already mentioned, you can create any number of cards in your hand, and not just in your own phases but also in those of your fellow players. Step 4, end the turn by discarding a card. A player ends his turn by placing one of his hand cards on the face-up discard pile. It is then the next player's turn in clockwise order. After a player has completed their phase, they now try to finish as quickly as possible. This then ends the round for all players. To finish, the player must get rid of all remaining cards from his hand by attaching them to phases that have already been discarded or by placing his last card on the discard pile. The player who finishes first wins the round. The winner of the round and all other players who have completed their phase, i.e. were able to discard their phase, can start the next phase in the next round. After each round, however, the scoring takes place first. By the way, everyone wants to have as few points as possible. Only the cards that a player still has in his hand are counted here. Cards that have already been placed are not taken into account. The winner of a round receives 0 points. Each card with a number from 1 to 9 is worth 5 points. Cards with a value of 10, 11, or 12 receive 10 points each. Exposing cards are worth 15 points each, and a full 25 points per joker. All cards are then collected by the next player, mixed very well, and 10 cards are again dealt to each player. And a new round can begin. And don't forget, players who were able to complete their previous phase are now included the next one. Players who failed to complete their current phase must try again. The first player to complete phase 10 at the end of a round wins the game. However, if several players manage to complete phase 10 in the same round, the player with the lowest total points wins. By the way, in phase 10 there are action cards. A joker can be used for any number card or any color. You can use any number of jokers at once within a phase, as long as at least one number card is used. A used joker remains in place until the end of the round as a replacement for the corresponding card, so you can no longer exchange it back. The suspend cards serve only one purpose: Another player is not allowed to take his next turn. The player who wants to place the suspend card places it on the discard pile. He then selects a player who must sit out. A suspend card cannot be taken from the discard pile, and of course you cannot use it to resolve a phase. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up and feel free to subscribe this channel. Thank you for watching.